Whenever we introduce a new topic, we tend to start with a mucking about problem, I call it, where at the end of this investigation, you're not supposed to feel like you have total mastery of this concept or anything. It just gives you an idea of what the overarching theme of this topic is. So when we start talking about quadratic patterns, this is another type of nonlinear pattern. And just like we've seen for linear and exponential patterns, each type of pattern fits a certain group of sorts of scenarios. So linear patterns were those constant rate problems where something has a starting point and then changes at a constant rate. It doesn't accelerate or decelerate. Real constant rate, like driving down the road at a constant rate of speed, earning a constant rate of money per hour, problems like that. And exponential were those snowballing effects where something gets bigger, it gets bigger faster, and the bigger it gets, the bigger it gets, the faster it gets bigger, and so on. So it's that snowballing, sort of accelerating, exploding growth, kind of like the spread of a pandemic. And then we have quadratic patterns, which are definitely the most complicated, which is why we save quadratic patterns for the end of the year, is because it takes a lot of other skills and getting accustomed to working with nonlinear patterns to kind of be able to wrap your head around the types of scenarios that would be modeled with a quadratic pattern. So quadratic patterns are used in a few different situations. Even though they're really complex, you'd be surprised where these patterns are found. One of them involves area. So area problems, think problems with squares. So we're going to find the formulas always have a x squared in them. It's what gives the pattern its quadratic shape. So these are things like, let's say you have a certain amount of fencing material and you're trying to decide which arrangement of that fencing material would give you the greatest area enclosure. So something that involves multiplying one dimension by another and getting square units, these tend to involve quadratic patterns when you're changing those dimensions. Another situation where we see quadratic patterns is what is called projectile motion. So think about like a basketball flying through the air. So any object where something is moving and its motion is being, I guess, influenced by gravity involves a quadratic pattern. So quadratic patterns are actually sort of some of the foundations for like how we land, like rovers on the moon and things like that, and on Mars, because those things are moving according to gravity. And finally, and the one that we're going to look at today, this cookies for COVID scenario, hypothetical scenario, is what I call optimization problems. So optimization problems are where you're trying to find, in this case, like the perfect price to charge for something to get the most possible revenue out of that thing. And so in the problem we're going to look at, the club, the humanitarian club, has been selling muffins. They've collected data about what the price of the muffin was and how many muffins they were selling per week. This is an annual thing they did, and they're trying to figure out, well, is that the best price to be selling them for? Because they found that every time you raise the price, you end up selling a different number of muffins. So, like it says, if you decrease the muffin price by 25 cents, 8 more muffins are sold per week, which makes sense. As the muffins get cheaper, they sell more muffins. But that doesn't necessarily mean that selling more muffins gives them more overall revenue because you're selling those muffins for a lower price. If you were to increase the price of those muffins, you would make more money per muffin, and maybe that would offset the loss of 8 muffins sold per week. So optimization problems are sort of the idea of finding that perfect balance of how many units are sold versus how much money is made per unit sold in order to get the most overall income. We call that an optimization problem. So let's look at this optimization problem. And like I said, don't get too bogged down in some of these details. We're just trying to get a feel for quadratic patterns and what some of the characteristics and some of the giveaways are that you're dealing with a quadratic pattern. So things like dealing with area and things that are being squared. probably a quadratic problem, a projectile motion problem where there's actually a squared unit in the calculation when you're dealing with gravity, also a quadratic pattern problem, and then optimization is the other type of quadratic problem. And one of the things you're going to notice about these quadratic patterns is, first of all, they tend to have a high point or a low point. So instead of just constantly going up or constantly going down, like linear and exponential patterns, these tend to have sort of a high point. In a problem like this, it's sometimes called a sweet spot. They also have more than one x-intercept. They often seem like they have too many variables, like you're trying to fit something that seems to have like three variables into an xy type equation in graph. It seems like you have more than one variable. And the other thing to look out for is when you have a situation where it seems like a variable has an effect on itself. So like this problem with the bake sale, changing the price has an effect on both the amount of money that's coming in, and it also has an effect on the number of muffins being sold. So that price variable has a twofold effect. So when you see that type of thing, you should be thinking that this is a quadratic pattern type problem. Okay, so let's look closer at this one. The first thing you want to do is, given that data, how could the club treasurer find the best price at which to sell each muffin? Now, you just writing down your initial ideas, you're not supposed to just jump right on this, of course. Remember, this is that mucking about problem. But you should be imagining something kind of like this. So the thing that they have a control over, their independent variable is the price, and revenue or income, using those two interchangeably, is affected by the price and the number of muffins sold. So you can imagine as the price goes up or down, it's going to affect how much income they make. And in this case, it actually makes a curve kind of like this. If they make their muffins super cheap, they might sell a whole bunch of them, but they're not making very much money for each muffin. So at some point, they actually are making less than they would if they had a higher price. On the other side of that, if they sell their muffins for a really expensive price, they're not going to sell as many muffins, but they're going to make a lot per muffin. And eventually, though, just because they're making, say, $10 a muffin, they're going to sell so many fewer muffins that they're going to lose income. So there's a sweet spot in there. And so the question is, if right now they're selling them for $2.50 each, selling an average of 125 per week, are they on this side or this side, or are they already at that sweet spot? Like, if they increase their prices, is that going to increase their income, or is it going to dig into their income in lost muffins sold? Or if they decrease their prices, is that going to increase their income because they sell more muffins? Or is that going to decrease their income because they're selling those muffins and making less for each muffin sold? So the question is, which side of the curve, which side of that sweet spot are they on? Okay. So what you want to do is actually try and figure out if they should increase or decrease their muffin price. You want to make a data table to do this. So like I was saying above, these quadratic patterns tend to seem like they have too many variables. So on this one, you have three variables in a way. So we're actually going to find a way you can kind of boil these down to just two variables. So first of all, they have the price per muffin. That's their X variable. That's the thing that they have control over. You can increase and decrease the price per muffin. You can't determine how much income you're going to have. You can't determine how many muffins you're going to sell, but you can set a price on your muffins. So that's their X variable. Then there's their number of muffins sold. And if you multiply the price of a muffin by the number of muffins sold, you get their income. And we're going to use income as our Y variable. So you have a table something like this. And so right now, we don't know if we're at the low end of the price or at the high end of the price or right in the middle. Safe to put it right in the middle. So right now, we know if they're selling them for $2.50 and they've been selling 125 muffins per week, you could do a little math. You could figure out what their income is. It ends up being $312.50. And so what you want to do is see what happens to their income if they increase or decrease the price. So for example, if they were to make their muffins cheaper and they went down to 2.25, they make them cheaper. Remember, they're going to sell more muffins. So they would sell 8 more muffins. They would sell 133 muffins according to their predictions. And you could multiply the number of muffins by the price per muffin to get their total income. Okay, now if the price goes up when they drop the price, that means they need to drop the price because they'll increase their income more by selling more muffins a little bit cheaper than selling less muffins for a little more expensive. Or maybe the income goes down. So maybe they're selling more muffins, but they're selling them for less money, and then it's the less money part that's kind of winning, and so they end up losing money. In that case, you want to jack the price up a bit more. So see what would happen if they were to 75 or $3. Every time they do that, remember, they increase the price by 25 cents. You're going to lose 8 muffins sold. So drops to 117, 109, and so on. Multiply the price per muffin by the number sold, and you'll get their total income. So what you're looking for is that sweet spot. Where does the total income max out? That's the optimal price for the muffins because it's the perfect balance between the price and the numbers sold to make as much money as possible. After you've done that, you're going to want to make a graph. You can use Desmos if you want, but when you make your graph, remember your graph is going to be using these variables. For your X, you're going to have a price per muffin. And on your Y, it's going to be the total income, or sometimes called revenue.